What's up guys, Pure Phoenix here with my second video of the night, and I've got something a little different this time. This is a tournament match on the map MLG Shakura's Plateau between the Red Terran RedArchon, choosing the color of his name, being the Red Terran spawning down the bottom right corner, and in the bottom left corner we have Balloon from Team Supreme, the purple Protoss. Both of these are well-known players on multiple servers, and I will now explain why. We have RedArchon being a very successful player on the Southeast Asia server. He's well known as being a aggressive Terran player, which makes this matchup quite interesting because we have Balloon, who is Team Supreme's Korean Protoss player, and he has beaten top tier Koreans with the likes of I Am Happy and other well-known names who he can proudly say he has defeated. So this game is going to be quite interesting. I believe both players have a strong macro game and are quite aggressive, and that can lead to a very interesting matchup usually. So we have a barracks going down for RedArchon and a gateway going down for Balloon, and both players still just doing the early game ritual which you memorize after playing hundreds and hundreds of games, as every StarCraft player will know. So I've been getting some feedback on my videos, a lot of views, some comments, some likes, and a few subscribers, and that's really motivational. I can't thank you guys enough. To those who do that, you know who you are. And if you're watching my video now, if you could leave just some kind of feedback, even if you think it needs improvement in certain areas, if you could specify that, that would be very helpful to me, because I'm not going to make videos if I think no one's watching. But if people do enjoy them and they learn something from them or get some kind of entertainment value, then it's totally worth it, and I will continue to post videos and adapt to whatever the viewers want. So now a second gas and a sub-unit core going down for Balloon, while RedArchon turns his command center into an orbital command. We have a second barracks going down for RedArchon as well in the back of his base, and he has one lone marine venturing off perhaps to defend this ramp here, or he might send it to the Zelnaga tower. I believe both players know the location of their opponents, so we could even see maybe some kind of drops here or here depending on which player does the drop, but that is always an interesting aspect of this kind of close positioning on Shakura's Plateau. So Stalker now coming out for Balloon, and he does have the warp gate research, so nothing out of the ordinary thus far for Balloon. His macro is very nice, everything's timing quite nicely, and RedArchon now is dropping a barracks with a tech lab a little closer to Balloon's home than he would like. I mean, I thought there was something a little sus about a barracks this far back in the base, and he might produce some Reapers actually and put a bit of a harass on the mineral line by jumping up here. So now Balloon is throwing down 2 additional gateways with that warp gate research being chrono boosted. Stalker comes in to poke around inside the Terran base, however 3 Marines, who are later joined by 2 more, deny him that opportunity. So this is really the focus at the moment, although a Marauder with concussive shells is coming out, so not the Reaper play I was anticipating, but still potential to surprise Balloon a little bit, because there is no way he would know about this. An SCV was sent in to scout. He gave his life, and I don't think he gained very much information at all. But yeah, so this could be very interesting. He's got concussive shells almost finished now, and he wouldn't get a research like that, RedArchon, if he wasn't going to commit to a few Marauders. Otherwise it just generally wouldn't be worth it. So now an expansion's been thrown down for Balloon, something that RedArchon needs to be aware of as soon as possible, because if he's going to be committing to a one base aggressive, he needs to be able to end the game in as soon as possible by making certain aggressive. So he's just cleaning up the Zelnaga towers at the moment to make sure he is in the aggressive position, and now with a small, decent sized force of biological units, he pushes forward although I don't think that this is going to trouble Balloons too much, especially with his ability to do so many force fields so easily, and not even any force fields laid down. RedArchon gets out of there, and Balloon even willing to chase and maybe snipe a Marine. So well played by Balloon. He knew he was able to win that quite easily. RedArchon probably wasn't in a strong as position as he hoped, and he's now stopped producing Marauders out of that barrack. So it was a nice little idea. It didn't pay off though. We now have a factory going down, so we might actually see some medivacs produced later, or he might stick with some kind of bio tank ball. And now an observer going straight into Terran's base for Balloon, and he's got this second base up and running nicely now with just the 3 gateways and a Twilight Council going down. So will we see perhaps a Zealot Archon kind of mix with a charge Zealots with the research happening at the Twilight Council? Might see some High Templars just for storm use. There are a lot of options you can go once you've got that Twilight Council down. And RedArchon's expansion now finishes, and he does have a decent amount of biological units with a couple of bunkers which he can use to defend them. So the factory is finished, but there is no starport or anything yet, so we might see some siege tanks or something of the like. I doubt we would see any Thors, that would be impractical, so siege tanks most likely. And now a Templar archive, so there will be High Templars and charge, so a Zealot Archon mix as I predicted, which is very effective against Terran players, especially when you can expand quicker than your opponent and get that economical advantage, because the amount of splash damage done by Archons with their incredibly large shields is great against Terran players. Now he's throwing down an armory, so we might actually see some Thors, although I think he might change his mind when he sees the Zealot Archon build that Balloon is going for. He's probably better off getting a couple of Ghosts into his mix so that he can EMP the Archons, making them nearly useless, because without their shield they have mere 10 health, easily taken out by some Marines. So Thors are a decent option, but if Balloon can get a small group of Zealot Archons up early, I don't think RedArchon will be able to deal with it. He's even gotten a Reaper out, maybe to secure a 3rd expansion. Just a quick scout of the map by the looks of things to make sure he is at least equal with his opponent on bases. If you have a look at the income tab, Balloon is leading the game. Is he leading the harvesters count by 7? So grabbing that extra expansion earlier has definitely paid off for him. And he's researching Psionic Storm, so we might not actually see Archons produced as of yet. He might just stick with the Storm option on the biological units, and he can even use feedback on the Thors when they finally pop. And all sorts of upgrades being done now, attack and defense for both players level 1. We've got Stim Pack coming out for Terran, and we also have a couple of medivacs. So will we see a couple of drops over here as predicted? And now Balloon is moving all of his army into the middle of the map. He's got his High Templars up top. I'm not sure why he split them away from the rest of his army, and there is a lot of energy on those sentries, capable of creating a whole maze of force fields if need be. And this SCV might just get a free scout in the base, although this Zealot will charge at him and change that in no time at all. So now a 3rd base going down for Balloon. He is once again ahead on the expansion game, although I think no, there are no SCVs in that. There's no SCVs there, so it doesn't look like RedArchon is going to be expanding anytime soon. He hasn't shown any signs of doing so. And now upgrades finishing for both players, and we have a small drop coming in from RedArchon, although Balloon was able to warp into units quickly and not too many workers were lost at all. That medivac almost going down. That was a nice feedback from the High Templar positioned behind Balloon's mineral line. He was ready for that, as he did have a High Templar just sitting there. And I have to say, at this stage it looks like Balloon is getting a lot further ahead in the game than his opponent RedArchon. RedArchon has now gone for a Ghost. Where is it? somewhere a Ghost Academy so that he can EMP or snipe around on some of these units, but it might be a little too late because Balloon is going to start to create an aggressive here. He's got a lot of High Templars with high level of energy. They're up to 150 energy. That is 2 storms per High Templar. We've got a lot of Zealots with charge, and now there's only 1 bunker remaining for RedArchon, so I don't know how this is going to go. Those high Templar storms are capable of doing a large amount of splash damage, and meanwhile up here there has been a small drop. I don't think Balloon will be able to save this base. No, he won't. An Archon is merged, but it will not happen quickly enough, so Balloon does lose that base. Well played by Archon to keep the base count level, as both players are probably almost, both players have almost mined out their main base by now. So Balloon, if he's going to keep his units up here, he's going to want to do something with them. It'll be good to see him push out and create an aggressive, so both players now grabbing a third in symmetrical positions, although definitely I would say RedArchon has more units in his army, but I think what Balloon's army is capable of doing to the other army is a lot greater with that splash damage from Archons and High Templar Storm. So I really can't see RedArchon being in that great a position at the moment, although he's got a few guys up here which could create some kind of impact, but that medivac is so weak. I think it's a one-way trip. They're not coming home. So now Balloon moves in, takes out this expansion with no trouble whatsoever, spotted by this observer here, and that expansion does go down. So well played by Balloon. They are now 1 expansion kill each. A drop down here from RedArchon into the main of Balloon. I don't think he's going to be able to take out many workers, as most of them have been transferred out as the base is almost mined out, and feedback on all the medivacs leaves them very weak, and Protoss' defensive army is actually destroyed, so RedArchon is going to be capable, is going to be able to do a small bit of damage here. These probes all have to pull mining, and he could lose a Nexus here, or he could lose power to a couple of his gateways. We don't have anything that seems capable of destroying it, so now Balloon moves in with what's left of his army, but it's really not much because he did split half over here and half here. Good force field there, stopping Terran from supporting himself and defending that natural base, but this is really interesting. I think RedArchon is actually, this drop over here from RedArchon actually changed the way the game panned out, and GG from Balloon. So that really came down to this massive drop here. What have we got? Five medivacs for RedArchon, dropping what? 40 supply of biological units right into the mineral line, took out the Nexus and forced Balloon to act, and he tried to pull some of his guys back. He lost his Nexus here, and he lost a couple of gateways. He lost pylons and caused Balloon to panic really, and he sent all his army running up the ramp, but it was really not enough because the whole time RedArchon had kept up with his macro and continued to produce more biological units to defend his base. So well played by both players. Again, RedArchon came out on top of that one, and as I anticipated, it was a very close match. Lots of things happening at once with drops and attacks on front doors and expansions destroyed. So I hope you enjoyed this game, guys. Please leave feedback, as I mentioned. That would be very much appreciated. Yeah, cheers.